and today we bring you a lot of stuff. But first and foremost, we have to get to a game that Tyler is very much invested in, Thursday Night Football, where the Colts will travel to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. With a storied history, these two have met a lot of times over the last 10 years, a lot of different results. Tyler, you ain't got Peyton Manning anymore, but you do have a young prodigy. How do you feel about this matchup going?
I mean, I'm going to be realistic here. I'm going to start by saying I love my team. The Colts is my team ever since I have beaten the Colts in the last 5 regular season games, and they also beat us twice in that span in the playoffs. So
Exactly.
the last 7 times we played them, we haven't won. So on top of that, the Patriots don't like us, and we don't like them. It's a huge rivalry. It's one of my favorite rivalries personally, because it was more or less for the Peyton Manning Tom Brady rivalry, but it's still there, you know. I think Belichick doesn't like us. I know he doesn't. He definitely doesn't like my team or your team. So
Yeah, for sure.
I mean that's another fact, and you know, when it comes down to that, Belichick's gonna make his players play hard, and that's what
Exactly.
they're gonna do.
Discipline.
And seeing that we're going to their stadium and we're not home, they're not gonna lose us at home. On top of that, I mean it's a lot of negatives going into this, but I would like to have confidence in my team being able to pull it out, but I just don't think that they'll be able to, honestly. But we haven't beat them in 9 years, you know, and or we haven't beat them. Yeah, we haven't beat them in 9 years at home, and then we haven't beat them in 12 years, like at all. So like that's to me it's crazy. Tom Brady always has a huge game when he plays the Colts, so hopefully we can slow him down, which I think we might have a chance because I know I just named a lot of negatives about my team, but I want to talk about some key players that I hope can slow down the Patriots. Specifically, one being Darius Leonard, who is a rookie this season, and he just was named today. He was just named the Defensive Player Rookie of the Month, which is good because, like we said before, the Colts have a young defense, and it's just something that we need to work on because I mean they're gonna make mistakes like we said before, but we just gotta make sure we limit the mistakes as the time goes on because the less mistakes the better. And
Exactly.
another player, especially on the defensive side that I want to talk about is Marcus Hunt, who right now he's leading the league in tackles for a loss, and with 9, and once again right behind him is um, Darius Leonard, which Darius Leonard also leads the league in tackles, total tackles with 54. So hopefully we can use that firepower on the defensive side to slow down Tom Brady, but I doubt it's gonna happen, especially seeing that they got they got Josh Gordon and then they're getting Julian Edelman back. But and another thing that I want to hope is that Andrew Luck can carry over from his huge game he had last week against the Texans. That's his best game of his career statistically, and I just hope that even though we lost that game, I just hope that we can carry that over and just as a team we can play better and potentially come out with this win. But I think it's not likely to happen, honestly, but hopefully it does. Anything you want to say about this game?
Oh man, it's just so much with this game. It has so much depth in terms of rivalry. I mean, few rivalries in the National Football League have been better than, the Peyton Manning Colts versus the Tom Brady Patriots. But it's different it's different quarterback for the Colts, but it's still the same rivalry to me. And a lot of people say it don't have the same competitive feel that it did. Don't get it wrong. The Colts have been in every single game they've lost, and they've even won a game. It's not like they've been blown out in every game. I feel like their offense is playing as well as it can play with the number of real playmakers that they have. They have Ryan Grant, a former Washington Redskin. They have T.Y. Hilton is out today. But they have
Yeah, that's
this
also a
newcomer.
big hurt.
Naeem Hines, you know, who's just like one of those flex players like Darren Sproles or Alvin Kamara who can catch the ball out the backfield, you know. And this week he'll get a lot of chances to run that ball, you know, being that their starting running back Marlon Mack is out, you know. And then you get the crushers that Julian Edelman is coming off a suspension and Gronk is playing, and it's like you think all that together. You know, I'll play devil's advocate today, and I know I picked the Patriots to win yesterday, and I still believe the Patriots will win this game, but I say Indy has a better chance today. Just looking at, you know, the team, just knowing who Andrew Luck is, I think Indy has a better chance today to win than a lot of people think. I think their defense is very underrated, and if they can contain Tom Brady, and stop the short throws and make him go far, make him throw deep balls, you know, maybe they do have a chance to win. But you know, it comes down to this. Like you said, they got Flash Gordon on their team right now, and you know, he's one of the most skilled receivers the league has ever seen. You can ask any expert; they'll tell you that. It's just about, you know, sticking to their assignments. You know, now blowing assignments. You see what that could do to a team. You seen the Jets play last week, and just sticking to their assignments and just making sure they stick to their game plan. You come into the game, you pound that ball with back. You got get Andrew Luck, you know, some open throws, you know, get him into a rhythm, and hopefully you guys can pull out the win. But in terms of rivalry, this gets me really nostalgic. I myself, Peyton Manning is my favorite quarterback. You know, we have that in common. So I used to watch these games a lot and love the feel and love the, you know, just the great competitive spirit that those two guys had. And I'm hoping to continue with Andrew Luck and the end of Tom Brady's career. I hope it can continue with those two. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Let me check something real quick. Make sure.
While you're checking,
hmm Yes.
team specifically, he threw 62 passes. He completed 40 of them. He had a crazy game last game, but we only had 17 rushes. And on top of that, 3 of them came from Andrew Luck. So, with that being said, that's only 14 rushes, and no one really did any good running work. So, that's one thing that makes the defense's job easier when it comes to playing against us, and that's one thing I don't like. Is that it's all you got to do is worry about our passing, and now that our best wide receivers out, it's going to be hard. We do have Eric Ebron, who does lead all tight ends in touchdowns right now, but I don't know. It's gonna be a tough one. I don't feel like it's gonna be a blowout. Everyone's been saying it's gonna be a blowout. I think this is gonna be a close game. I
Right.
honestly do.
No, and I think so too. And I think the coach won't go down that, that way. You know, Andrew Luck is built to compete, and I think that's what he will do. You know, and the one thing you can't count on is having a franchise quarterback who knows how to make plays. You know, and the best thing about having a playmaker at quarterback is he's exactly that. He's a playmaker at quarterback. You know, he can make the throws. He can make these receivers catch the ball. You understand, if that makes any sense? He puts the ball in the right place where only they can catch the ball. And to him,
Yeah.
he really feels like, he's how you say that word? The people around him are really playmakers, and to Andrew Luck, he really feels that way. And with that being said, he'll treat them as such. You know, if he can get them open,
Yeah.
he'll lead them open. And I think the confidence of this team is on a new level. They seen that they were in that game against Houston. They were in that game in that first week when they lost to I forgot who they lost to the first week, but they were in that game. And even they won the Washington game, and Washington is 2-1. So they beat a quality team already this year. It's all about coming out and executing your game plan. For Andrew Luck, he just has to sit in the pocket. I know he's one of those guys who loves to take hits. He compliments the defenders on taking hits. Stay in the pocket. And you may even have to take some hits, but as long as you can complete your passes and execute the game plan, it should be a closer game than a lot of people were expecting. You never know with the Patriots. Sometimes they come out flat. Sometimes they come out a lot of short passes, and that ends up getting under a defensive skin. So if they can stop the short passes, I think early on, the quick throws and get some pressure on Brady, I think they'll be fine in the end, and they may even find themselves with a surprise win on the season. The Patriots need to watch out because this could be a trap game for them this year. They already have 2 losses.
Yeah.
If they go under 500, that's something Belichick has never experienced or hasn't experienced in a while. So unless it was like 0-1, but other than that, he hasn't really experienced real underdog mentality, and so I believe that the coach will be in this game. So that's what I gotta say about that. So what do you want to get to next? What's the next topic?
I mean, do you wanna talk about baseball or what do you want to do?
Yeah, let's get baseball because the Yankees played last night, and as you all know, the Yankees won 7-2. Not a surprise to me. I think we were a better team. I think hitting wise, we have a lot more power hitters, a lot more just better hitters on our side. But more importantly, our starting pitcher Luis Severino. He's been struggling the second half of the year. He pitched phenomenal the first half. And we thought to ourselves, can we trust him with this one game winner advance, playoff game? Can we trust it in his hands? Can he give us 5 solid innings and hand the ball over to our for sure great relievers? And that's exactly what he did. He got himself in a couple innings, he got himself into trouble. Walked a couple men, but he had 7 strikeouts through 5 innings. That was so impressive to me that he put in that kind of performance. For me, it's just more so like our hitters came alive last night, and we go wherever our hitters go, but also our pitching has to be solid. We don't need 8 innings out of you. We need 4 or 5 solid innings, no runs allowed, a couple strikeouts. Make it look good. You know what I'm saying? But in the playoffs, it don't gotta look good. It could look sloppy, but just as long as you're pitching well and you know where your pitches are going, and I know for sure our hitters are gonna hit. To start the game off, Aaron Judge, who's been dubbed the new Derek Jeter. He hit a 2-run home run. That right there, and all you can hear me say was he's made for this. And I honestly, truly feel like Aaron Judge, he's made for this. Over his last 2 years, only 2 postseasons. He's only been in the league, only been in the major leagues for 2 years. He had 15 hits, and 5 of those are home runs. So that right there is telling about his power. And he doesn't discriminate on where he hits the ball to. It could be left, it could be right, it could be center. And to have a hitter that's talented and to know how to hit the ball everywhere in the field, that is so impressive. Giancarlo Stanton, newly acquired this past offseason, last year's NL MVP. He came in, he hit a home run too. And then there's not enough I can say about first baseman Luke Voigt. Since he's gotten the team, it's been a very strenuous past few months, just the way they've been struggling. Since he's gotten on the team at the trade deadline, I feel like that's been the best trade we've made. He's been producing at a high level, especially the last month of the season, hitting home runs like no tomorrow. And yesterday he hit a big triple that put us up 5 points. It was 5-0 at the time he hit that triple. It was so especially impressive to me, and that right there is what the kind of hitting we need to win the game. Next up we got our rivals. And you see Tyler talking about the Patriots versus Colts, that rivalry, how great it was. Next up we have the Red Sox, and there's no bigger rivalry in any sport than the New York Yankees versus the Boston Red Sox. We hate each other. We have legitimately bad blood. We have bad blood in this. We have a specific hate for each other more than we hate any other franchise. That one should be a good one. I'll be doing analysis on that on tomorrow before the game. But there was a couple games on there was a couple games on tonight. There's a couple games on tonight. One who just started. So let me give you guys a quick update. So, as I said, tonight is game 1 of the Milwaukee Brewers versus the Colorado Rockies. That's the NLDS. And for the Rockies, taking them down tonight will be starting pitcher Antonio Cinzalta, who hasn't pitched particularly well, this year, logging in a 3-3 record and a 4.31 earned run average. But I think, Tyler, you can agree, game 1s in a series are very key, and you've seen that in basketball last year where, JR choked that shot. Who knows what kind of momentum that would have gave Cleveland to win that series. And game 1s are so crucial in any sport. And according to StatCast, teams who have taken game 1 have a 53% chance of winning the series. That's over half, That's over a half, chance to win the series. That's really that you're giving yourself a good shot to win the series, winning game 1, especially not a 7-game series, but a 5-game series for the NLDS. So it's very important that Antonio Cinzalta gets off to a fast start against a team like the Brewers, who have really good hitters in their lineup, such as almost Triple Crown winner Christian Yelich and recently revived Ryan Braun. As for who Milwaukee sent into the mound, reliever Brandon Woodruff will have that responsibility. Woodruff has been coming out of the bullpen, so it gives me the impression that Milwaukee, they plan on using only 3 starters for the whole series, and the rest will be thrown by relievers as a group effort. This can get tricky depending on how they pitch. If you don't want to tire out your relievers' arms, it's important that Woodruff gives them at least 3 to 4 innings, and 4 will be ideal for them. It won't be easy for him though, not at all, because they're going up against two of the best sluggers in the league, Trevor Story and Nolan Arenado. But all that aside, this one should be a really good one. And the game started about 15 minutes ago, so that's on Fox Sports 1, so you guys should go check that out. And then later on tonight, we have the Atlanta Braves going to the Chavez Ravine to battle it out against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And personally, for me, this is one of the matchups that I'm excited about. For both teams, there are rising stars, rising young hitters all over the place. But let's get started with the pitching. That's the most important thing in playoffs. Mike Foltynewicz will be taking the mound for Atlanta. He posted a really solid 13-10 record along with a 2.8 earned run average and 200 strikeouts too. So that's not that bad, And as for the Dodgers, they're sending one of their most reliable pitchers coming off the disabled list in August. His name is Hyun-Jin Ryu. He has been phenomenal, like I said, since coming off the disabled list in mid-August, posting a 188 earned run average since then. And ultimately, it comes down to the starting pitching, and I think this matchup is particularly very intriguing. As for the batters, newly acquired Manny Machado will look to bring his power into postseason action, and young guns Ozzie Albies and Roberto Acuna Jr. will look to get the Braves their first postseason win in 5 years. And it came in the series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, which is kind of ironic, being that they're playing them in the same exact series this year. So, we got a couple great games on tonight. Should be an exciting night in baseball, but tomorrow the Yankees play, and I'll be all over that in tomorrow's stream. Tyler, I know you don't know about baseball. I know you're trying to learn, but, if you want to talk about it, you can, but if not, what's the next topic you have?
Much for me to say. Excuse me. The next topic I wanted to talk about was the trade rumors with Jimmy Butler still going on, especially with Miami, because that's my team. Every time we hear a trade rumor with Minnesota and Miami, they always want to bring in Josh Richardson. And I don't know if you've noticed it, but I've noticed it, and it's because if you think about it, Josh Richardson and Jimmy Butler, they're very similar players. They're very defensive oriented. They're not really the best shooters. They can score, but the way the numbers look, where Josh Richardson is in his career right now, he averaged 12.9 points last season with excuse me, 12.9 points with 3.5 rebounds and 2.9 assists, and that's exactly where Jimmy Butler was when he was around his age. Jimmy Butler averaged 13.1 points a game with 4.9 rebounds and 2.6 assists. So, he's on track to being the same kind of player that Jimmy is, you know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
So, I understand why they would want Josh Richardson, and even me, you've heard me say I don't want to give Josh Richardson because he's such a great piece to a team, to where if you match him up with any star like Jimmy Butler, they'd be a great duo. Josh Richardson came in. He played valuable minutes in the playoffs, especially against the 76ers, and he was a defensive nightmare for them. And he was he broke the record for the most steals in a playoff game last postseason. So
that's key.
He's definitely a great defender, and he's looking like he's got the potential to be one of the best defenders in the league at one point in his career, which would be great for him and great for any team that keeps him. But I know that the offer that Minnesota gave the Heat was Jimmy Butler, and they're trying to get rid of I forgot the guy's name. They're trying to get rid of. Yeah, they're trying to get rid of him, and they're trying to give us him and Jimmy Butler for Bam Adebayo, Josh Richardson, and the first-round protected pick. I was wrong earlier, but I don't think they declined it. I was wrong, I think. I think what they said was, well, they declined it, but what they said is that they're not trying to get rid of Bam, and they're willing to trade Josh Richardson. They're just not trying to get rid of Bam, and they're not trying to take what'd you say his name was?
Gorgie Jane.
Yeah, him. They're not trying to take him because of the huge contract he has with him. But I hope, because I'm a fan of the Heat, I hope that they can get something sorted out to where it makes both teams happy. Because who wouldn't want Jimmy Butler on their team as of right now? He's a great defensive player. To me, he's one of the best players in the league. Mm-hmm. I feel like he would immediately make any team better that doesn't already have a good shooting guard. Like, the only team that I don't think he'd make better is teams like the Warriors, the Houston, and teams like of that nature with good guards already. But I don't
And
know.
I'd argue, before you move on, I'd argue that he would make, in my opinion, he would make the Warriors a better team. Obviously, because his talent is transcendent to any kind of offense, any team. He's a great defensive player,
Yeah.
two-way. And I think that Josh Richardson, I know you like him a lot. He's younger, but I think Jimmy Butler still
Hmm.
has a lot of years left in his prime. And if you make the trade for Josh Richardson, like as you said a couple of streams ago, Miami is a place where people want to be. You know what I'm saying? On top of nightlife, there's always good weather. You know what I'm saying? There's always a good,
Yeah.
there's always good vibes. You can tell there's always a good, good people and just, fun out there. And not only that, they have a rabid fan base, as you've seen when LeBron went. And it wasn't just when LeBron went. In the '06 finals, they popped out a lot. That whiteout thing didn't just start with LeBron. So they have a rabid fan base. And something that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, they have a great coach that players will want to play for. A lot of people thought that LeBron was
Yeah.
the thing that attracted free agents when LeBron was here. And Eric Spoelstra is a great basketball mind. He's been around the Heat his whole life, almost since he was a kid. 13 years old, he was in the film room for the Heat. So he knows a lot about basketball. And I think Jimmy Butler, he sees that. Tom Thibodeau, he approaches the game a little differently in Minnesota. He's more hard ass. He's more of a disciplinary. Eric Spoelstra, he runs an offense. He tells the players how to do the offense, how to play defense, and boom. That's it. You don't see a lot of screaming from Eric Spoelstra because the Heat are so disciplined as a team. I think, in my opinion, just from watching them, I think Josh Richardson wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt you guys losing Josh Richardson. And I think that you guys have a better chance of any team with a one-year star on their team to sell Jimmy Butler to want to stay in Miami, especially if
Yeah.
Hassan Whiteside plays well this year and Bam, gets into his groove. And Goran Dragic is playing well. I think if everybody plays well and you guys make a playoff push even to the second round, I think Jimmy Butler will consider staying. And that's always important because you're not trying to sell him for this year. It's okay because he has to play anyway. He's not going to miss no time. He's already said it. He's already publicly said he's not missing no time with any team he plays for, but he has to play this year. You guys have to bring him in with the thought that you can sell him for next year.
Yeah.
And I believe that Pat Riley, a masterful GM, he can do that. He's done it with a lot of players before. He's done it with Braun. I mean, that's like the hardest player to do it with. He's done it with Braun, so that's what matters. He got Braun to come to Miami, and I think he can get Jimmy to want to stay in Miami. I hope that he pull off this trade because it immediately makes them a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, and that's with no question. They're probably a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference now, but you have to see how they play. That's with question. And the Jimmy Butler will be with no question, no doubt in my mind that he'll make the Heat a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. You can go, I'm sorry about cutting you off.
Nah, I mean, I agree with you. He'll definitely make us a way better team right now. But my thing is Josh Richardson, he looks like Jimmy Butler number wise. But the thing about Josh Richardson that I feel like if he keeps on this path, he has the potential to be better than Jimmy is because he's a better shooter. I mean, they both play great defense. They both are good at finishing, but he's a better shooter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, like looking at the numbers for when they were both 24 years old, Jimmy Butler was only shooting about 28% from the three, and Josh Richardson shooting 38. He's almost up to like that 40%, like that. He's around that average shooter range. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if he can get better at that, I mean, I feel like he definitely has the potential of being better than Jimmy Butler as a player for a career, and that's the only reason I don't want to get rid of him because he has more aspects to his game, which
And
I
but
think that can take him
but
further, I should say.
yeah, right. But I stress that Jimmy Butler is already made star. You know what I'm saying? And when I remember
Yeah,
watching Jimmy Butler when he was just on the Bulls, and first year on the Bulls, and I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, like he's okay, but I don't think he would become a star. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
you can't always pre-plan who's going to be a star because as you've seen, there's some people who were supposed to be
definitely.
stars and I think right now the safe bet is to go with Jimmy Butler
Yeah,
because
because
Josh.
he's already, like you said, he's already a guaranteed star, and we can't
Exactly.
really guarantee anything with Josh Richardson.
And that's
Career
not
ending
saying that he
injuries
won't be.
happen every day.
Right, exactly. And that's not saying
Yeah,
Josh Richardson won't be. But I mean, you've seen the irony in sports. Look at Earl Thomas just now. He plays a year,
yeah,
he gets injured. That how ironic is that he wasn't going to play, but he decided to play for out of good his heart. And just imagine, God forbid that Miami doesn't make the trade and Josh Richardson gets hurt on the opening night. You don't wish that on nobody. But
yeah.
life is life, and
But what
and things are
if?
unexpected. Exactly. So what you like? If I was the Heat, I stress that they get Jimmy because even if they go get Jimmy, God forbid, on the first day he could tear it. But like, who do you feel more comfortable going into the season at shooting guard? You know what I'm saying? Goran Dragic, Jimmy Butler, in your front court. Like that's gonna be in your backcourt rather. Like that's gonna be so good.
And,
Like for your team, it's gonna make your team much improved. And I think that's
and
what
I
the
agree
Miami
with
Heat
you.
need.
I agree with you, but from a fan perspective, because I am a fan of the team, this is my favorite team. Imagine, imagine everything I just said comes true for Josh Richardson, and I feel like this puts Miami in a tough spot because if Josh Richardson does become a all-star or even a superstar, an elite defender, or even a Klay Thompson type of player, like he's not really the primary ball handler, but when you get him the ball when he's open, he'll get you the points, but he's that on-ball defender. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Okay.
personally feel like Klay Thompson is better than Jimmy, and I feel like Josh Richardson has the potential, and if it all works out like that, it'd be horrible to trade him away for a player that you're only going to have for about 5, 6 more seasons if he stays. When you can have someone if he stays, he's a 10-year player. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
okay. And then I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But like, I just looked at Jimmy Butler's numbers like literally just now, and last year he averaged 4 assists.
22.
He averaged four
Mm-hmm.
assists, and that's important to me because as a two guard, sometimes they'll rely upon you. And sorry for the sirens in the background, but sometimes as a two guard, they rely upon you to handle the ball. To be a playmaker sometimes. And you see that some stars take on that responsibility naturally, as LeBron James does. One of the greatest playmakers in
Yeah,
NBA
Josh
history.
Richardson does that too. He comes in, he was the backup point guard for Goran Dragic whenever he was out
Like, and that
in the
may
postseason.
be true, but the scoring output is a 8 point difference with what Jimmy gives you and what Josh Richardson gives you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know Bam's numbers, but I'm sure it wasn't crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm
And he
sure
only
maybe
averaged 6 points last season.
so Jimmy Butler literally makes up for both of those players' points in the season. In fact, he gains.
Mm-hmm.
Like you gain
But
points with
see,
Jimmy
then at
Butler.
the same time, right? We should also get Dion Waiters back this season, who is he's a primary scorer. I mean, he's a score first type of guy.
And
So
now, so
if
you,
he can give us those numbers that we need, I feel like we'll be fine
but just
in that aspect.
like okay, but like just imagine, right? Dion Waiters coming
Mm-hmm.
off the bench, yeah, and Jimmy Butler starting. You're getting 22 points a season out of Jimmy Butler. Not to mention what Dion Waiters can bring you off the bench, which in the playoffs, I think you guys lack depth. In the back of your roster.
Yeah, that was definitely what would happen. I mean, in the postseason, every game would be closer to 76ers, but as soon as Gordon Hayward has hit the bench, it was no scoring output. I
Exactly, and
mean,
Josh
that was
Richardson
just definitely
is
our
only
problem.
giving you guys what 13. You know what I'm saying? So if I feel like if Jimmy comes in, he's averaging his 22. You know what I'm saying? And you got Dion off the bench averaging what his 13, 14 in his respectful right. That's what Josh Richardson was giving you. You're getting the
Mm-hmm.
extra 22 points per game, and you may think, that's not that much, but look at CP3. James Harden with the team he had before CP3 wasn't winning nothing. CP3 is a guy who came in. He was an X factor for that run they had last year, and to me, he was another reason why, he was a reason why
I mean, he
they
gave that
play.
team defense,
Exactly
like
the
the
reason
team
why they play
itself.
so
It's
so
crazy.
well. And for a young guy, that team may have not bought into Josh Richardson yet because he hasn't reached his full potential yet. And that could be another 2 to 3, 4 years maybe. Because some people take longer. Jimmy took 3 years, but he played 4 years. He played 3 years in college, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But he took you know 3 years before he got to his prime, when his first year averaging 20, and since then he hasn't looked back. I think if you bring Jimmy into the locker room, the Heat will believe in the team a little bit more. I know, and you're a fan, so like the players that you have seen these last couple of years, those are people you rock with. But I think for the betterment of the team, I think the team will rally around Jimmy Butler just because he's a known star. There's not a lot of young guys on Miami. They have a lot of veterans. Like Hassan Whiteside already a veteran. Goran Dragic already a veteran. You know what I'm saying? So you guys have a lot of veterans. Tyler Johnson's been in the league for a healthy minute. You know what I'm saying? You guys got
Yeah, and
players.
that's why they don't want to, and that's why they don't want to get rid of players like Bam. And I don't think they would want to get rid of Josh, but they're willing. They already said they're willing to get rid of Josh Richardson, which I have no connection to the organization, so it's not like I can say anything about it. But I'm just saying how I feel. But like, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
More of
and
a right now type of push.
exactly. And I think you want that. You know what I'm saying? I understand that
Yeah.
as fans, teams stress you just to be patient over the you know process of getting to the championships. You know what I'm saying? But this right here, Jimmy Butler boosts your team mightily. And just imagine Hassan Whiteside. He got a pretty, healthy contract. Tyler Johnson is off his contract because he got the same. Next year's his last year. You know what I'm saying? Just imagine you finally have Jimmy Butler commit to a long-term contract, and then after Tyler Johnson leaves, that opens up another max slot. You
Yeah.
guys
Like,
can
I see
be
what you're saying, because I'm definitely, like, looking at the right now picture. Even if we get Jimmy Butler this year, I don't think we win a championship for another three
two,
years. So we'd hope 2 or 3
right?
years, I'd say.
Exactly. So,
Because, I mean, the Warriors are definitely the best team in the league right now. I mean, LeBron's on a 4-year deal. He's probably going to get someone next season. So, I mean, I don't see us winning anytime soon. But, like, if we could get Jimmy to a long-term contract for maybe the rest of his career, and he finished his career in Miami, that'd be great. That would definitely be something to look forward to. And we do have a lot of big contracts we got to unload. Specifically, Hassan Whiteside, I don't know when his contract's up, and Tyler Johnson, like you said,
they're both
Gordon
probably up next
Hayward,
year.
Dion,
So,
all these contracts are big. So,
and
I mean,
exactly, Dion, me too. And I honestly feel like Pat Riley has had some misses over the last few years, especially with free agents. And I think Dion is one of those misses. And not to use the same word, but Dion as a player is a hit or miss player. He's either making a lot of shots in the game or he's missing a lot of them. And
yeah,
that's not the kind of play. And I think I so feel like with Jimmy on your team, he'll feel better in that offense, just because he's relied upon a little less in terms of scoring. So he'll be scoring a lot more. And with the Heat team I see right now with Jimmy Butler on it, I think Jimmy, it gives them the added he gives himself the added responsibility of playing starting shooting guard for the Miami Heat, and while doing that, it's like when you get another top receiver on the other side of your wide receiver, it's like you're giving them more opportunities to catch balls because of somebody's double teaming you. Your counterpart can get more receptions, and I feel like with the Heat, if Jimmy comes in there, it will open up the offense a lot more for Dion Waiters and for even Tyler Johnson for a bit, because Tyler Johnson can start looking for a shot, and all the guards on your team can start looking for their shot with Jimmy Butler there, taking up most of the attention. A lot of people are going to focus on him, you know what I'm saying? So I think Miami will be so well with Jimmy Butler. But if they do keep Josh Richardson, I will stress, he is a young talent, and he will get there, as Tyler said. And even if he doesn't get to the star level, he'll become a formidable starter in this league, which is a lot more than a lot of people become in this league. So,
yeah,
Heat fans shouldn't get discouraged without the Jimmy Butler trade, but I think they
he'd be a
should get
top tier
encouraged.
defender in the league if you ask me.
Yeah, but I think they should get encouraged, really encouraged, if they do get Jimmy Butler, because that makes them a real threat to the East this year. So yeah, that's it.
I agree.
Are we staying on the topic of basketball? Like
Yes, we are.
we getting to
I
these
mean, do you
lists?
want? Yeah, do you want to start the first one, or you want me to start it?
No. I think we're gonna have the same point guards. I don't know, but I mean, go ahead, start your point guard list. We'll just do it like that. You
I
go point
bet.
guards, I go point guards, and we'll just explain why. You do it in order. We
All
don't do it in
right,
order.
all right. So here in this segment, yo, we're gonna be talking about who we got for the top three at each position. Starting with point guards. Number one, we already debated this the other day. I got Kyrie, and I mean, I don't really. I mean, and like I said, Kyrie and Curry are both great point guards, and I feel like they're interchangeable. You can put it whichever one you want at one and whichever one you want at two. But I feel like Kyrie is just like offensively, he's the best pure scorer at his position. I mean, he's elite at every level of scoring. He's not the best passer and he's not the best defender like we've already conversated about and you made your huge debate, but he is definitely one of the best scorers in the league in general, but I feel like he's the best scorer at point guard position. Um he's an elite finisher, if not the best finisher in the league. He can shoot with almost anybody. I'm not gonna say anyone because Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are in the league. I mean, if he was to just get a little bit better on defense, I mean, there would be really no argument of who's the better point guard. But I think that's just who I got at number one. And for number two, I got Steph Curry. Steph Curry, he's the best shooter of our generation by far, and definitely he's one of the players that have pushed and motivated other players to use the three-point shot as much as they do. I mean, I would say, honestly, first I would say who started it was Dirk. Well, of our generation, I'd say Dirk with the shooting for big men. I mean, he definitely started it, and then We got Steph Curry, who is the greatest shooter of our generation. I mean, he's gonna blow all the 3-point records out of the water, like every single one of them. And I've seen where he marks, like where he's at on the list for all the 3-point records. It's ridiculous how close he is to the top and how many games there is difference between him and the people above him. You know what I'm saying? Like Ray Allen, I think, no, well, whoever, like the people above him, they'll have like 1,000 games played, and he's only at like 600. And he's really close to breaking these records, and it's really crazy, if you ask me. So, but another thing about Curry is he's not the best player on his team. I think we can all come to an agreement on that, and it's KD. Kevin Durant is arguably the best player in the league. I don't think so, but people will make an argument and say that he is the best player in the league. But the thing about the Warriors is that Curry is the best player for that team. He's not the best player on the team, he's the best player for that team and the system that they run. I mean, he just brings the energy onto the floor that is crazy. Like you were talking about earlier, bro, we were talking about, you said you seen a play where Steph Curry ran for 13 seconds nonstop. He just brings that energy to the floor to where everybody's moving, and it's really hard to stop that. And when everyone's moving, you put up more points at a faster pace. You tire out the other team because you're just running around. And if you do that for 82 games out of a season, I mean, you're conditioned for that. So it's not as hard for you to do it. It's harder for other teams to do it. It's not, and it's crazy because I think Curry, the way he just comes off those screens every single play, and Klay Thompson comes off screens, everyone just makes those plays, and it's ridiculous. And to think that all that came from Curry being as deadly from three as he is to make everybody else want to do it, I think that's crazy. But like I said, I feel like him and Kyrie are the two best point guards in the league, and you can put each of them at one, and you can put each of them at two. But for the third best point guard in the league, I got Chris Paul because you and me watched the Western Conference Finals together, Brett, and you saw whenever the Rockets needed a big play, he was there. He made that big play for him. And the crazy part is he only averaged 19.8 points a game with 6.8 rebounds and 4.6 assists. That's not what you're used to seeing from Chris Paul. I mean, Chris Paul is definitely a 9 assists per game type of player, but he was really he wasn't that I don't know how to explain it, but like he wasn't himself, but he played great that series at the same time because he made all the big plays that were needed. If it comes from whether it's guarding Kevin Durant, which he didn't guard Kevin Durant that good because of the size difference, but he brought that energy to the team. You know, he was playing aggressive defense on Kevin Durant. He was playing hands-on defense, and it didn't work. But I mean, it gave everyone else confidence. Like he had so much confidence in himself, and I feel like that helps the team get confidence in themselves. And then other things he did, like just he was making difficult shots. He was making big time plays when they needed them. Like I know everyone remembers when Steph Curry, or not Steph Curry. I mean everyone remembers when Chris Paul shimmy in Steph Curry's face after making that difficult three at the buzzer. I mean it's the small things that he did during that Western Conference Finals that boosted the morale of everybody else on the team. And I think that really played to be a difference for the Rockets. And as you can see, it did because they were up 3-2 before he got injured in Game 5, and the Warriors ended up coming back and winning the next two games to go to the West or to go to the finals and sweep the Cavs. So, I mean, I definitely feel like this year is the Rockets' year. I feel like this year they can make a push with hopefully Chris Paul can stay injured or not injured. Hopefully he can stay healthy. If he stays healthy, I feel like the Rockets definitely make a big push on the finals, and they could possibly win it this year. I mean, it'd be definitely a good game of them going up against the Celtics or something. Even the Warriors going up against the Celtics. The Celtics would be the best team that the Cavs have played, or the Warriors have played since 2000, yeah, 2016. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts. I don't know who you have at point guard. Well, I'd probably do who you got. But, um, I'm saying, so, I mean, I don't know.
Okay, My point guards for my top 3 point guards, I got the same list you got, but just two different. And I think ever. I think what he done for the 3-pointer has been more than anybody has done. I think you equate what Reggie did and what Ray did and who they were as players. Those were role specific players. Ray, after he left the Bucks, he became more of that role player for the Celtics. And I think that what Steph does is way more valuable to his team than any of those great shooters. And not taking anything away from them, because those were snipers. Or those guys were marksmen from beyond the three. But I think what Steph brings to his team is a level of security. And I think this goes understated in the NBA. Security is important. Like when you have a guy like when you have a guy like KD on your team and Clay, everybody thinks it's all easy, but it's all about sacrificing your shot. What Steph Curry does is he works within that offense. He knows how to work within that offense. And I can't say that Kyrie has been around the amount of scorers that Steph has been. And I don't know if Kyrie will be able to adapt to that kind of situation as Steph has adapted. He hasn't missed a step in terms of his scoring averages. He's averaged the same amount of assists. He's averaging his same numbers with another star on his team, along with the other stars that were on his team prior to KD joining. So I do think that Steph is better than Kyrie. Not taking anything away from Kyrie. Kyrie's one of the greatest finishers the league has ever seen. You know what I'm saying? And if not the greatest receiver. So I said receiver, the greatest finisher. So
I mean, not to cut you off, bro, but like you said, I mean, Curry is like different from Reggie and Ray Allen. They weren't like the main player on a team, and that's why I said when I started, I said that Dirk, for our generation, Dirk is what started the whole push for the 3-point shot. Because as a big man, first of all, he's shooting threes, and he was the star player of that team. And I feel like that's what really motivated everybody else to see someone doing something different and also leading a team with it as much as the way he did.
well, yeah, Dirk really implemented the stretch big. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but Reggie was breaking a lot of records for 3 pointers attempted, but that was more of what the team asked him to do. Reggie can come down here, hit a three, and not saying Reggie didn't have any other aspects, because in fact I think Reggie had more aspects to his game than even Ray did. But what I'm saying about Steph is that it becomes selfless when the way he plays. You know what I'm saying? It becomes more of 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 a sharing game, and I'm not sure if Kyrie or even CP will be able to adapt to that many. Well, I think CP will, because CP is more of a passing guard, but I don't think Kyrie, for sure. I don't think he will be able to get into that kind of offense around with KD and all those scoring like Clay. These guys are legit scoring options, some of the best scorers that we have in our league, and I'm not sure if Kyrie will fit well with like three other great scoring options. I know he has solid options around him now, and Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, but none of those guys are what we call elite scorers. You know what I'm saying? They're all good
Yeah.
scorers, to really good. And I think that what Steph does is more impressive just because of the less shots he's taking, still being as efficient, still scoring as much, and still finding a way to impact the game. And not only that, I don't think that Kyrie will be able to score, and I'm talking about at one time, within 1 point period in a game, as much, not as much, but as often as Steph does. Steph can take over a game within 3 minutes. I'm talking 12
Yeah.
points, a 12-point lead, what
That's
Steph can bring.
ridiculous. And he showed it in the Western Conference Finals. It's
Exactly.
ridiculous.
We have proof, but like you said, this right here is not a debate about, oh, Steph is way better than Kyrie. I think both of these guys are on the same spectrum. I think one is just a tad bit, and I think it's just like when you talk about, I'm trying to think, Brady and Peyton. When those guys were in the league, they were on the same spectrum. But I always felt like Peyton was just a little bit better in terms of pure talent at quarterback position. So I feel like that's what the kind of conversation we're getting here. Not equating those guys to the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but just saying, in comparison to those two being compared, I think Steph has a better. He's just a better all around game, and I think he's in a harder system, I should say. Not he's in an easier system for him to get shots, but in a harder system, just being with all that star power around him. Second, I got Kyrie. Man, Kyrie go crazy, bro. Like, you know how Kyrie is. The handles,
Yeah.
he can create his own shot, and he can do that so effortlessly. You know what I'm saying? He does a lot of ISO that in almost all the time he embarrasses the guy who's guarding him. He's just that kind of skill. And then when he gets to the rim, no big man in the league, no guard, no small, nobody can stop him at the rim. He's just that skilled. Shooting wise, he's great. I mean, he has one of the biggest shots in NBA history, bar none. That game winner to beat the Warriors in the 2016 finals. That was such a great shot. I was watching that, and I wanted Steph to win that chip, because I love Steph's game, and I've been a fan of Steph, since he was just taking over the league, with the scoring, and I'm like, well, that's something new. That's
Yeah.
something we haven't really seen, and I'm a fan of greatness. I really am a fan of greatness. That's why for so long I didn't like LeBron, but now I come to grips with the fact that he's just one of the greatest to ever touch a basketball in the whole world. But when you see something new, when you see something great, like when he started implementing that three-pointer from deep, I was just like, whoa, that's something different that I haven't seen from anybody ever. So, that's why. But Kyrie he got that marksmanship too. He can hit threes too. If he has that, that shot, and Kyrie got that shot where he can shoot over everybody, and he
Yeah.
brings the ball so high up above his head, he can shoot over anybody. So I think Kyrie, he has that ability to shoot too. I just not on the level of Steph. I think Steph has the ability to dribble too, just not on the level of Kyrie. And I've edged Steph over Kyrie in defense. I know you guys don't agree with that, but I have. So yeah, that. But my number 3 choice, who could easily be my number 1 choice, is Chris Paul. Chris Paul has everything that Kyrie and Steph have, you know what I'm saying, except that extra scoring gear. But he's a better defender than both of them by a mile. The best defensive point guard in the league, and I don't think enough is said about defense in this league. So I think that Chris Paul, one of my favorite point guards of all time, he can be number 1 as well. Now, me, he's the best pure point guard. In terms of what point guards were originally made to do, which was facilitate the ball, Chris Paul, he is that man for the generation. He knows how to pass that ball. He knows how to get it. He knows how to get his teammates open. He knows how to, be an anchor. He knows how to be the guy for his team. And everybody plays better around him. As you can see in the Western Conference Finals when he went out, the teams weren't necessarily the same. And I think you could vouch for me on that. The team wasn't necessarily
Yeah.
the same. The scoring input wasn't there. They didn't have a second ball handler. So he brings so much to that Houston team specifically, but so much to the league that a lot of point guards, when they come in the league, they should want to learn from him how to be a class act, not only a class act, but a great defender. You know what I'm saying? And just a great facilitator and great IQ. That's what he has, and that's what he brings. So my top 3 is Curry, Kyrie, and CP.
I mean, and one thing I wanted to say, like you were talking about Chris Paul that I didn't bring up, is something you don't really see in a lot of players is, I mean, Chris Paul came in the league in New Orleans and he became one of the best point guards in the league. And I feel like as of lately, minus last season, before last season, a little bit before last season, he's been falling out of that conversation, because of players like John Wall, Curry, Kyrie, Damian Lillard. There's a lot of point guards that stepped up and showed that they were good players, and the fact that he what's the word I'm looking for? He changed and he developed and became more of today's basketball, and now he's again in our top 3 is crazy. Cause I don't know about you, but I think he fell out of the top even 5 conversation for a while there.
I
I
don't
mean,
see. I get what you're saying, and I think from the average person he did, but for me, he didn't quite fall out of my top 3. I think when we all had the conversation about best pure point guard, you put
yeah,
Chris Paul
you
number
think
1.
of Chris Paul.
Exactly, he'd be number 1, and I think anything other than looking at it like that, especially a couple years back, was absurd. Because were you gonna base it off of being a scoring point guard? Because if that was the
I
case, I
mean,
put
yeah, and
Dame
that's the
over
route the
Kyrie.
quarter or
You know, like
Dame
you're
over Kyrie. I
like if
mean,
you're talking about no, I'm talking about the way average people look at the point guard position. It's all about scoring. You know what I'm saying? And if that was the
yeah,
case, and nobody arguably, Dame is the second best scoring point guard in the league. The way he can score the ball every night is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But this league is not only a scoring league. It's a league about being versatile and more effective everywhere during scoring. Dame is a great shooter. Don't mean he's a great driver. You know what I'm saying? What Kyrie can do on the
yeah,
offensive side with the handles, Dame doesn't have near the handles of Kyrie or Steph or CP for that matter, and he doesn't have the
yeah.
inside game that Kyrie and Steph show that he can have in the Western Conference. He doesn't have that. So
I mean, I put his finishing up there with Curry. I'm not gonna put up with Kyrie, but I
I
mean, Dame can finish.
I don't know the way
I
the
mean, whether it's dunking on people or just laying it up, he can finish.
I don't know. I
I mean,
haven't really seen that
he
game
won the
from.
dunk contest before.
I really haven't seen that kind of. He won the dunk contest.
Well, yeah, it was. I think like, but that was like a few years ago where it was like a bunch of players on one side. It was like East versus West. It was like I think it was on the East. It was like Victor Oladipo, Paul George, and I forgot who else. And on the other side it was Dame. Oh yeah, it was Paul George and John Wall. And on the other side it was Dame and a couple other players, and they put on the better show. I mean, Dame can get up, bro. He can really put it on some niggas.
But I haven't. I've been yet to see. I haven't seen. I can't remember. And this says a lot because in this day and age, you remember every crazy. I haven't seen really Dame put up anybody on a poster. And what I seen
Oh
from
yeah.
Steph doing driving in the finals, like that was a new part that I've heard people say Steph didn't have. That was a new part of
But I don't
the
feel like
game.
Steph didn't have it. I feel like people didn't see it.
And that's the
That's what I
thing.
feel like it
And that's the
was.
thing where it kind of went overrated. And that's maybe what's happening with me and Dame. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, I haven't really seen
Yeah.
it, but I know what I seen in the Western Conference Finals. And a lot of times where Steph didn't have his shot, which I think was so great to him in that series, when he didn't have his shot, he wasn't trying to go
He
to his shot. He was trying to, he found other ways to be
and
effective in the
he won
game.
that clinch net.
And I don't
And
know if you
clinch one
remember.
is an elite paint protector.
I don't know if you remember in that game one finals, in the finals game one, right, where LeBron
Hmm.
had just put their team up to, he had just put their team up two, right, and
Hmm.
Steph comes back down, and without any hesitation, without any of that, didn't look at KD, didn't look at Clay. He went in for an and one, and he laid it up on fucking
Yeah.
Tristan, and that so like that right there shows the kind of craftiness that he has around the rim. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So me,
And I
I
mean,
like
I was about to say, I mean, back in 2016 where they ended up losing the finals, I feel like that was his problem. He didn't do that. Like you said, when he couldn't find his shot against the Rockets, he didn't try to find it. He went in and he he got a layup. He got a foul. He did something.
exactly. There's
I
something
mean,
that will
he
get the
didn't do
team
that in
points.
2016.
Exactly. And I think that's what's so impressive about Kyrie is that I think Kyrie genuinely just looks for the inside shot, because that's his game. But
Yeah.
when he, on the rare games when he doesn't have his inside shot, you see Kyrie not hesitant or ever really he's never really hesitant to pull his shot. And I think that's where Steph can improve on, and I think he had improved on that in the postseason, and I believe he'll carry it over to this one. When the shot is off, there's other ways you can impact the game, but by Steph driving, he draws so much attention from everybody else on the floor, even with KD there, that you driving, bro, you automatically can kick out. You automatically can find the plethora of fucking of players who are really talented on your team, the stars. Yeah, you can find a star in each corner now with DeMarcus there. You know what I'm saying? Like you can find the
Yeah.
left, the right. You can go down in the post. You find a star. Even Draymond. I don't know if you remember game 7 of the 2016. I mean, obviously you do. The one where Kyrie hit the shot, but coming out of half, um, if it wasn't for J.R. Smith, the Cavs would have been down big. And the reason that would have happened is because Draymond Green was out of his mind from beyond arc. From beyond the arc that game. Draymond Green has proved that he can hit a three, when need be. So, like, you can kick out to almost
Yeah.
anybody and they can hit shots. That's so impressive about the Warriors. And obviously, they have the names that'll be like, oh, well, duh. Obviously, he can do that. But it's not that obvious. It's like if you're kicking out to DeMarcus, that means you're lowering KD's shots. If you kick out to KD, you're lowering Clay and DeMarcus. Just and it's like that. And some of those guys who are all stars, who have all averaged big numbers, those guys they expect to keep averaging those numbers. And I
Yeah.
enough of the point guards, but that's my list: Steph,
Yeah.
Kyrie, CP. Let's get into them shooting
And
guards,
I
man.
can agree with that. I mean, I can't disagree with that. But yeah, I mean, for shooting guards, number one, I don't even think this is a debate. I feel like you got the same number one shooting guard. I got James Harden. I mean, what do you really have to say? He's the reigning MVP. He's coming off a crushing loss to the Warriors. Like we said, they were up 3-2. But without Chris Paul, they just couldn't get over the hump. I mean, the Warriors are the best team in the league with star power wise. So without Chris Paul, he couldn't do it. I mean, and in that series, he did average 28.7 points a game, 5.6 points, and 6 assists. So he's been a great player in the NBA his whole career, from being the best six man when he was on the Thunder, to being the best player on the Rockets, to now he's the best shooting guard in the league.
Exactly.
So, I mean, especially this season, he's coming off of the MVP season. He averaged 30 points He averaged 5.4 rebounds and 8.8 assists. I don't see him slowing down. He's a scoring machine that can. And fuck, what's their coach's name? I forgot their coach's name.
Mike D'Antoni.
Who? Yeah, Mike D'Antoni. With his system, with the driving and kicking, he's gonna get his points and he's gonna find the open man if it all works out. So, I mean, I don't see him slowing down. It's gonna be drive kick all season, and we'll see if we can get him to the finals. And the Rockets are definitely my front runner to go to the finals this season. I don't know about you. You're a Steph fan, so I expect you to want the Warriors to win. I want the Rockets to win because they're still one of the three teams that could win a championship. Right now, I think the Rockets, the Warriors, and maybe the Celtics are the only three teams that right now have a chance of winning a championship in this league. Maybe Toronto. That's if Kawhi comes back and plays good, you know.
Uh, um,
But
yeah, exactly.
go ahead.
No. And I was gonna say that the Rocket. I feel like the Rockets are a team who can win. I just felt like they had a better chance last year being in the position they were in. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And there weren't no there weren't no quality centers on Golden State. And then you look at who's their center now. You know what I'm saying? And during that
Yeah.
time, in that Western Conference Finals, which I'd imagine, I really do feel like if the Lakers and the Rockets match up, the way I seen Melo shoot that ball, and I know it's only preseason, but the way I see Melo shoot that ball in preseason, I really do feel like the Rockets will win that. So I kind of go back on
It's gonna be a lot of sorry Mikes, but I mean, I feel like the Rockets will beat the Lakers.
This is gonna be a lot of what?
Sorry, Mikes. Now, did you see the clip where Melo hit the he hit a mid range?
Oh yeah,
He told Mike
yeah,
D'Antoni,
yeah,
sorry.
exactly. Right, I know you want that
Sorry,
three.
Mike.
Exactly.
He
You know
got
it.
his stupid ass. He
And
had to take the deep midi.
exactly, I like that. I like that though. I like what you just said. This year, for Melo to be successful in this offense, is gonna have to be a lot of sorry mics. Stop settling for the three. I think I
Yeah.
see Melo do that a lot in
And
OKC.
that's what he did on KC, and that was my strong argument for why he's underrated still, because I feel like Melo can still come out there and average 25 points, maybe not 20, but he can average his 22, 23,
Exactly.
playing his game.
Exactly.
He's
The
not a
buckets are
three-point
coming to
shooter.
you, and you know with the point
Yeah,
guard that you have, and even the shooting guard, because it's not like James lacks passing. When
yeah,
James sees an open man,
yeah,
he'll be sure to make that throw, and or
yeah.
make that pass rather. But if Melo just plays the
Oh,
game,
unpause the game, bro. Unless
oh
is
yeah,
my thing for it? No,
if
unpause
yeah
the game.
no you're right,
Okay.
and if Melo just plays his game and just goes through it, right, he'll find his shots. And I think that's what a lot of
Mhm.
people have a problem with doing, especially those guys who want to be greats in the league. You know what I'm saying? They want the ball all the time. And I think I can equate that to one of the guys on your team, Dion Waiters. He's one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? He never lets
Yeah,
the game come to
definitely.
him. He always does a lot of chucking up the ball. That's what Melo does. When you let the game come to you, I guarantee you have a better game than you expected. And I think with these guys, they won't let Melo do that chucking shit. You know what I'm saying? Russ let him do it because Russ wanted the stats. Russ wanted the assists. Whenever he passed it, Melo, go ahead, take the. And that's just in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's what I predict, or that's what I assume. But with CP and James Harden, Melo will be getting the ball when he's open. You know what I'm saying? Melo will be getting the
Yeah.
ball when he's open. But on the flip side, a counter argument to my argument just now, they do run a lot of ISO, and if they give Melo the chance to run a lot of ISO and he pulls up for threes, I think they can see a lot of the progress that they could have made with Melo go away, because him settling for the three is just not good, and you see that at OKC. Go ahead, continue your list.
Yeah. I mean, and to talk about that, I mean, hopefully, never mind. I'm not gonna. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a whole Melo's. We're not even supposed to be talking about Melo. That's a whole other subject.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I'm gonna just go to my next shooting guard, who is I got Klay Thompson. I mean,
Let me stop.
like we talked about earlier, he he's a primary 3-point shooter, and he brought that to the league. Like him and Curry really revolutionized the 3-point shot. Mainly Curry, because Curry was the star player of the team, but I mean he helped. He definitely did. And like they're the best shooting backcourt arguably of all time. So I mean he's one of the best 3-point shooters in today's game. And on top of that, what helps him is that he also has that lockdown defense.
Yeah.
He can guard. I think he can guard any position 1 through 3. I don't think. Well, he probably could. Well, how tall is Clay?
Klay, let me see. I
Do you
think Klay
know?
is 6'7". 6'8",
He's
around
6,
there.
yeah. So he could probably go. He can guard any position 1 through 4. I'm not gonna say he can guard a big man because
I think
there's
one through
some big
three.
men
Like
like DeMarcus.
I say one through
Yeah, I
three
was
more
gonna say one.
importantly. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But like, even if he could guard the 4, he won't need to because there's players like Draymond and
exactly.
KD's
Yeah,
a decent defender on ball. So he's in a position where he wouldn't have to do that.
that was gonna
So
be my argument
that,
too. Like he has enough, like
yeah,
defensive power at the 4 and the 5 position. But even if they do switch
yeah,
off, I'm comfortable, and I can rely
yeah,
on Clay for him to stop that, just like CP did KD last year. You tell me
yeah,
if I'm stupid for thinking that shouldn't happen for KD, like CP just being as small as as small as he is compared to KD. You got a 6 foot guy shutting you down. That shouldn't happen. But I think a lot of these
yeah,
guys, their expertise is defense, so it's not that hard for them to guard somebody bigger than them. Yeah.
yeah. And another aspect of Clay's game is he's a very clutch player, and I mean I think he's underrated for being a clutch player because, for example, and it's not the first time he done it. This Western Conference Finals in Game 6, when they needed a win, it's win or go home. They're down 3-2. Guess who showed up and dropped 35 points? It's Clay. I think he did the same thing against the Thunder in 2016, right? In the Western Conference Finals, he dropped 41.
And my bad to
Yeah,
cut
like
you off, but I think this will make you happy. Andrew Luck just had a rushing touchdown to put them up 10-7 at battery.
yeah, I
But
see.
anyway,
I'm
continue.
seeing. You know what I'm saying? We about to win this. But I mean, Klay Thompson's just one of those. He's one of those players. He's one of those two-way players specifically that it's hard to find. I mean, there's certain players that are strictly defense, and they're strictly offense. Like we just talked about, Curry and Kyrie. We got them at 1 and 2 for the point guards, but they're strictly offense. They're
Yeah,
not really the best defensive players, and
exactly.
that's even the same with James Harden. I mean, his defense, if you ask me, has gotten a lot better. I mean, he did his best to contain Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's the best scorer in the league right now, but he did a pretty good job also with Trevor Ariza, Chris Paul, PJ Tucker. They all did a good job containing Kevin Durant. But I feel like when it comes to defense, Klay Thompson's just a different breed. Um, anything you want to say about Klay Thompson?
Oh man, that's the man right there. And just spoiler alert, I don't have him in my top 3, and not saying that he's not a great player. He's number 4 on my list for shooting guards. And I think, I'll talk about it when I get to my list, but it's just a classification of one player is the reason why Clay's not on my top 3. But that can go anyway.
Yeah.
Clay is a great player. He makes his teammates, better, and he makes his team better. I mean, I've seen Clay win playoff games by himself. Game 6 of that Houston
Yeah.
series, that was Clay's game.
Yeah.
Clay has one of those
I
trademark
mean,
games
yeah.
every
I mean,
every
KD. I
finals.
think KD had like 30 or 23 that game, and I mean Curry had a good game that game too. But the deciding factor was Clay hitting
Exactly.
3 after 3 after 3, and it's
I don't know if you
crazy.
remember early on in that game. Early on, Clay couldn't get a bucket for his life depended on him. And
Yeah.
and I guess and Houston fans probably said, "Oh well, this is our opportunity," because believe it or not, Clay's very important to that offense. This is our opportunity right
Yeah.
here. Like, well, let's get it going. And Clay came out in that second half and he went berserk. And that's the kind of performance that that's what you've come to expect from Clay. When you most need him, he'll be there. Very underrated in these finals, and very underrated as a player to talk about in these last finals. Like, he's been there for when they needed him the most. They've had their back against the wall a couple times, and it's crazy because I've seen less vulnerability from the Warriors before KD got there, and I've seen their backs against the wall so many times the last 2 years. So, and Clay has been the guy to get them out. So much respect to Clay. And you have another person?
Okay. Yeah. To get to my third person, I would have to say Jimmy Butler, and I put Jimmy Butler there because I mean last season statistically that he had his second best season. The season before that was his best season. But, I mean, on top of that last season, he only played 59 games. But the thing about Jimmy Butler is he is one of those lockdown defenders. He's one of those players that if he's on you, he's gonna try and do everything in his power to not let you score, and he has the body to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, he's not no little dude. Like if Curry had the body size he had, I mean, Curry would definitely be the best player in the league because of how big he is and the attitude he brings when it comes to defense. So
Exactly.
that's what really puts him up there for me. Is he's a good rebounder, he's a great on-ball defender, and his off-ball defense is also there. So I
Yeah,
feel like
and there's not even
whatever team does get him is going to be a lucky team. But go ahead.
and there's not even so much to be said for you and Jimmy. I know you've been going over everything Jimmy's been these last couple weeks, especially because your team is favored to get
Yeah,
him. So I mean, Jimmy's just great, and he's on my list too. And I'll just say this right now, Jimmy is top three two-way defenders, two-way players in the league. One being Kawhi, and I feel like PG is better than Jimmy Butler. And that's just in my opinion. So
yeah.
so like,
PG is a better offensive player.
yeah, exactly. So he can do more. So like I love Jimmy Butler. He's a great player, and I think he adds an added dynamic to any team. And I think Minnesota missed their shot last year. The way they played against Houston in the first round, that was like not acceptable. And I think if Minnesota loses Jimmy Butler, they take a huge step back. I think me and you can both agree on that.
Yeah,
But Jimmy Butler is one of those guys, man. We're very underrated in this league. I'd assume, and he's just. I seen this. Oh, excuse me, not to cut it off, but the coach has got an interception. Whoa, this is looking
hey,
crazy. You feel me?
hey, we got Tom over. Whoa, Tom
Man,
over here throwing picks.
hey, Madden speaking into
Okay,
existence. You hear me? But look,
you feel me?
but go ahead, go finish your Jimmy Butler analysis.
No, I mean that's really all there is to say. I mean, like you said, we've talked about Jimmy Butler a lot, and there's nothing. He just speaks for himself. He's a great defender, and he can put the ball in the basket if need be. He averaged 22 points last season, and that's all you can really expect out of him. Well, that's not all you can expect, but that's all you really need out of him with the defense that he brings. Any team, especially on the team that he's on now, like you said, they underperformed a lot because they got Carl Anthony. They got a lot of offensive weapons to where him being that one defensive threat and giving you extra possessions,
That is just so
that should
key.
really help you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for my list, my top three shooting guards, I have the same guys. My number one is James Harden. Offensively, the the flashiest, and I think he's the best offensive player when it comes to creating his own shot in the league. James Harden has a slew of moves that he can go to get to the rack. He can shoot the ball lights out. James Harden is one of those guys who can't. But I think what's underrated about him is his passing ability. And last year, you've seen his numbers drop mightily, not mightily, but like they dropped. Then that's because CP joined. But James Harden as a passer 2 years ago, it wasn't in the same way that Russ was doing it. The pass statting, I don't see him there. I didn't see that James Harden was pass statting. I see that James Harden was making the right plays all the time, which gave me confidence in my ability for him to make the transition from shooting guard to point guard. Obviously, he didn't have to do that being the CP joined, but James Harden is such a skilled player. What he lacks on defense, he makes for it double on offense, and that's what you need for somebody who doesn't.
I mean, and not to cut you off, but he's definitely improved defensively since a couple of seasons ago, where all those videos were coming on, everyone was talking shit about.
And it's
him
never
on
been
defense,
yeah, I hear you. It's never been a question of skill. It's always been a question of effort. James Harden just never wanted to put in the effort on the defensive end. James Harden can be a good defender, or not even not a good defender, but he could be an average defender, if he tried. You know what I'm saying? And it's different with Steph. I feel like Steph puts the effort in. He's just physically incapable of doing it. Exactly. Of guarding these bigger point guards, or guarding the faster point guards. Because Steph is not the fastest guy, so he's incapable. And I think the same thing with Kyrie. They're both like 6'1". You know what I'm saying? Not capable of guarding those 6'3", those 6'2s, and those guys are really faster than those. Steph and Kyrie are not the fastest, but they're the most. I say they're like, I don't know how you say this. I don't want to say shifty. They're like, they make the crafty. They're crafty. Like they're not fast, but they know how to get their shot off.
Yeah, the way they move, their movements are crazy.
Crazy. So I agree with you on everything you said about James. And then so my second one is Jimmy. No, it's PG. I got PG in my shooting guard. This is what me and Tyler had, not a dispute, but we just had a regular conversation about do I see PG as a shooting guard? I do see PG as a shooting guard. Jimmy Butler is 6'8". Paul George is same thing, 6'8.5". Like, same position. I think same height, same position. Just depending how the team uses them. And I think this year, more because of his defense and his offensive side, I think they'll start PG at the 2, and then maybe start Roberson at the 3, because it just makes more sense for me. I think Roberson is a great defender too, just less offensive skill. And I think for the shooting guard position, you need somebody who can put the ball in the bat and the ball in the hoop. So I got PG as my second one. PG, no introduction, man. one of the most high-flying players in this league, even after his leg injury. You know, one of the best shooters in this league. You seen that All-Star game. I don't know if you. I think I was watching that All-Star game with you, if I'm not mistaken. But the dude went crazy. He broke the record for threes in the All-Star game. That just showed me his scoring ability. And last year, you know, not having the best team around him, not having the best system around him, he still found a way to produce great numbers. So I think PG's number 2, and then for my number 3, I got Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, Tyler said it all about him. He's a defensive game changer. And those are guys you need in your team to push you for extra wins, to get extra possession for you, to get extra points for you. You need those defensive playmakers. I think that's why we seen, you know, the Minnesota Timberwolves beat some of those good teams that they beat last year in the regular season. You know, because Jimmy Butler had that defensive extra gear he can go into. I think he really put that team on his back last year and carried them to some great wins. I hope he goes to the Heat, though. That's my boy team, and I know if they get him,
that would be fun.
Exactly. So,
I mean, even if the Knicks got him, like we've already talked about that. I mean, he'd be a huge game changer for the Knicks.
Oh yeah,
pairing up with Porzingis.
What, man? That'd be exciting. But you know, like, you know, I'm one of those guys that, like, you know, you're a Heat fan. You know, you're my boy. So whatever team gets him, you know, that's a win.
He'll be happy.
Exactly, that's a win. So like, I hope he goes to a team where he can actually contribute, you know, to this year and help them be a better team. So we're going to small forwards. I don't know, are we going to do all of them today, or are we going to save some for next week, because these are taking some time and we go off at 6:30 today. It's up to you.
I mean, we got about 19 minutes. I mean, the small forwards for me are pretty fast. I mean, the small forwards are going to be fast regardless. I mean, at number 1 for small forwards, I got LeBron.
What?
I didn't even write any. Like, I didn't even write anything down for LeBron James. Like, that's how, like, he speaks for himself. I mean, he's been to 8 straight finals. He's been to 9 total.
Yeah.
Granted, his record isn't the best, but the fact that he's made it out of the East 8 straight years, I don't care how. Like, everyone's argument is always the East is so weak. I mean, he still has to win these games every single year. I mean, it's not one. It's not like football. It's not one game and you're done. It's 7 game series. You got to win 4 games.
So let me. But before you continue,
go ahead.
Let me get something right. All right. He went to 7 in a row, right? He went to 7 finals in a row, right? With a team that should be in the finals, right? Except for that 2016 one, where he played the finals, you know, by himself. I think he played the Western Conference. I mean, the Eastern Conference with Kevin Love. So even then, he has at least somebody. And Kevin Love at that time wasn't complete.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not taking nothing away from
No, what I want to know,
team,
but this is what really, I know LeBron's always been great to me, but this past year, this 8th one, was by far the hardest and most unexpected one. I think towards the end of the second half of the season, right before playoffs, I think we all kind of came to an agreement. Like, look, I don't think this team is going to make it. I don't think he's
making it.
Yeah.
And the fact that, and on top of that, the fact that he swept the best team in the East on paper. He swept Toronto. He swept them. He did them bad.
LeBron is kryptonite.
And it wasn't even. Yeah, and it's not even like they were getting blown up, because they weren't. But it was LeBron by himself, and he's hitting game winners. This is another flaw that everyone's always said LeBron's had. He's not clutch. He's not this. He's not that. He's hitting game winners in the playoffs to take his below par team to the finals. That's crazy.
Doesn't matter. Like, and to me, it's like at this point, doesn't matter if he's clutch, right? In the comparison with Jordan, LeBron has already enough, you know, accolade. The 8 straight finals is enough. You know what I'm saying? And I think the difference, you know, enough to be up there with Jordan. I think the difference that people look at is the 6-0 that Jordan had, right? But he's already done enough in his career to be up there, and I don't even think they should even be compared anymore. Like, like that comparison is getting a little old. I think what LeBron has done is shown consistent greatness. You know what I'm saying? Same thing that Jordan did. So same thing that everybody was praising Jordan about, and for the 2 3-peats is what LeBron has shown. Consistent greatness. Jordan could arguably have 7 rings in a row if he didn't take that year off. But you know what that tells me? Is that he quit. He quit on his teammates, and he did it for another 3 years after the second 3-peat. He quit on his teammates. And for LeBron, I can't really tell you. You know, after the Eastern Conference Finals, we seen that picture. LeBron going back there and immediately putting pounds of duct tape on his knees. Pounds of duct tape on. You know what I'm saying? That's the wear and tear from a carry. He had the team on his back. Yeah, I'm sure his back was sore. Like, and that's the impressive part about what LeBron does.
And I've seen people, like, I've been watching on the streets and stuff, and I've seen people criticize him for being frustrated and punching the chalkboard. Like, do you understand? Like, I've never done it, but I don't know if you have. But I don't understand. I wouldn't want to imagine how it feels to put up 50+ points in a finals game and lose.
I did that once.
Especially being the first one to do that. I know you. I think it was you did that against the Warriors, but you won, didn't you?
Yeah, I won that game. You remember, right?
Yeah, you won that game. Yeah.
But yeah,
but like
they no criticism for that.
Just,
Yeah.
I mean, frustration and the fact that and I mean, people say it's bullshit, but even if it's not bullshit, he performed great that series. And if it isn't bullshit, I mean, to play like that with one hand, to still be statistically the best player on the floor, that's crazy.
Like I say, the worst basketball he played in the last 8 finals. I feel like the worst basketball he's played in the last 8 finals was the last 2 games of last year, and he still put up 20 points, 20+ points. Yeah. But you know, LeBron is not the kind of guy that, you know, even though things are not swinging in their direction, he's not the kind of guy to give up. So I buy into the hand thing. What I will stress is that, you know, the series is over. You know, you got free agency coming up. For me to LeBron is like, yo, why would you even play with that? Like, you know your team is not going to win just look who you got on your team. Just look who you got on your team. Your second best player is Kevin Love. Kevin Love wasn't fully healthy that last year either. Who's your best player after that? J.R. Smith, George Hill, like...
God. Alright, hold on. I'm a little bit delayed and I'm paying attention to the stream like on my computer, right? Now, I just saw Tom Brady get
smacked. Yeah, I know. I'm watching that too. This game I'm heavily involved because look, this might be the only coach win of the day. So shoot, we better.
Wow.
No, not. And I'm not saying it like that. I'm not saying like that. Even your prediction was the pick. You feel me? Shoot, but you know, for LeBron, he's played such consistent basketball. I don't think he should get criticized for anything he does. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of those guys who get that pass. But let's not get it twisted. I know you said that LeBron, you know, LeBron is like clearly the best player in the league. I agree with you. He's clearly the best player. But we have a guy in Anthony Davis, and even furthermore, Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that when I got to the Power Forward.
Yeah. You know, I wasn't gonna go in detail about Anthony Davis, but I'm just saying we have a guy, Anthony Davis, who's pushing that envelope real fast. But before Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant is so impressive. He is just so impressive, bro. And Game 3 of that NBA Finals, you seen how impressive that was. It wasn't 4 All-Stars anymore. You know, Steph Curry was non-existent. They did a great job of containing Steph Curry. Klay Thompson couldn't hit a shot. Draymond is usually not an offensive weapon anyway. Kevin Durant won Game 3, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people are going to have a lot to say about this. He won Game 3 by himself. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. But, like, this is my one thing, if we're going to talk about Kevin Durant, because we might as well skip the Kevin Durant right now, because Kevin Durant is my second pick. But even though he's my second pick for small forward, I'm gonna counter argue what you just said. Kevin Durant, literally, I think it was Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. He was choking, bro. I mean, Kevin Durant is a 90-something% free throw shooter, and he was missing back-to-back free throws against the Rockets. I mean, if Curry didn't step up and the rest of the team didn't step up like they did in the first half, I feel like because of KD's performance in that Game 7, it could have been a runaway for the Rockets.
Absolutely.
If they had Chris Paul too.
And I think it comes down to I don't know if you remember, you obviously remember that last season he was with OKC and he choked against the Warriors in that Game 7 over there too. And I think it's really because these teams can beat them. You know what I'm saying? The Rockets were about to beat them. You know, when you have he had a lot of nerves. I could already tell in his face he had a lot of nerves going into that game. The Rockets could really beat them. So when I think that's one of the things that KD got to get better on. I think he got a pass because of that Game 3 in the finals. But if he didn't have a great game in the finals, he would have been criticized heavily for that Western Conference performance.
But I don't know. I feel like he got a pass in those Conference performance anyway because they came back and won, being down.
Oh yeah. Winning cures all. But I'm just saying, like, if they would have lost that finals, you know, like, just say, you know, God forbid they would have lost that finals against the Cavs, which would never happen. Just based off talent. Like, and KD didn't have a good game then. Right? Or even if he didn't,
definitely would have brought that up.
Oh yeah, or like even if they would have won, but he never had that Game 3 and Steph was the Finals MVP. It's like, well, KD, where were you at? You know what I'm saying? Where were you at this whole time? And I think KD but you know, to counter your argument about that game.
Game 6, even in Game 6, KD didn't have the biggest game. He only had 23 points.
No, Game 6 was
KD the best scorer What happened?
No, what you saying? Go ahead, finish.
I was about to say, for KD to be the best scorer in the league, to only have 23 points. I mean, that's really,
Right.
it's not that good.
Exactly. It's not good. But for what game three did, bro, like if the Cavs took a game right there, it's game 3, so they would have only been up 2-1. The Cavs took a game right there. They gotta even Golden State Warriors being so much.
I was talking about the Western
No,
Conference Finals.
I know you was.
Oh, okay.
What I'm talking about, like what was so impressive to me about game 3 is that he's like every shot he took it wasn't a great shot, but because he could shoot over everybody, it was a good shot. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and I think that, and it's crazy because Kevin Durant, he's damn near, if not 7 foot tall, and he can dribble like a guard, and he can shoot with he can shoot with some of the best shooters of all time. I'm not gonna say he can shoot with Curry from the 3, but I feel like he can shoot with Curry from mid range. He's the best mid range shooter in the league.
I mean,
and that's because he's 7 foot.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he just his numbers speak for themselves. I mean, he's an MVP. He won the MVP back in 2011. He's been to the finals before, and to win, he had to go to the Warriors. He took a big hit for that. He gets criticized all the time for that. And like he said, his pure skill for the game does go underappreciated, which I think it does. Because he did make that choice.
And for me, with Kevin Durant is that we see the people criticizing Russ before KD left Russ, right? I think a lot of people was on that Russ hype. Oh, Russ, look at this guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's so athletic, he can dunk on it. A lot of people now, everybody sees the real Russ. You know what I'm saying? You know who he's really become. It's not about the win anymore. It's about what he can do, his stats. And I've never, as the coach, just win this game, 13-7. You know, right? Hey, but look, KD. I think I don't say his move is justified because he could have went anywhere else to get away from Russ. But I do say him leaving the OKC is justified now because you see what Russ does. Everybody's saying, oh, they almost won against the Warriors, but look what Russ does. You know, KD has some pretty bad games 6 and 7 in that Western Conference Finals against the Warriors too. But Russ had a really bad game 6 and 7 as well. You know, I think since KD left, they found everybody to push the blame on KD. Oh, look, you know, he's the reason. How you gonna choke with the OKC and then go join the team he lost to? No, you know, they both choked as a collective group.
But this is my thing, and in Russ's defense, I'm not a huge Russ fan. I'm not Tyler. You know, Tyler's a huge Russ fan. I am Tyler, but the other Tyler's a huge Russ fan. I mean, me personally, in Russ's defense, bro, if he goes into that season right after KD leaves, and he looks at it realistically, you're not winning. Realistically, you're not winning that game, and you're not winning anything that season. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's right. This is not justifying what he's doing. I'm giving maybe an idea of why he did it. Because I'm not going to disagree with you. He did pad his ass off.
But let me ask you a question, right? You know what's one of the main sources of scoring? A rebound, right? The quicker you get the rebound, the quicker you can push the ball, right? But when you have your teammates purposely moving out of the way for you to get rebounds, you're even though they made the playoffs that year, they just made the playoffs, you're being a hindrance to your team. You gotta be able to. If your center gets the ball, he pushes it up to you. It don't matter about that. It matters about getting the wins. And granted, Russ and the Thunder got a lot of wins that year. Not a lot of wins, but they got wins enough to make the playoffs. It still wasn't good enough because they didn't get anywhere past the first round.
I think they lost in the first round.
Yeah, exactly.
To the Rockets, right? Then last season they lost in the first round to the Jazz.
Yeah.
Who ended up losing to the Rockets. So,
exactly.
I definitely see what you're saying. I feel like for any basketball player, your first thought going into any game should be a win, but that just doesn't justify him going into a game looking for stats.
Exactly.
Looking to win an MVP.
And I also see your argument too. You know what I mean? Like that year, he wasn't expected to win anything. They weren't expecting to make the playoffs. KD left. Their second best player was going to be Steven Adams. It wasn't really looking good. Oh, Victor Oladipo. My apologies. And you see what Victor Oladipo is doing now, right? Everybody who leaves Russ has an immense amount of success, and that's what gets me a little confident about Melo and Melo going to that team over there in Houston.
Yeah.
Like,
how do you feel about Melo? Because I know he was a long-time Knick, and you're a huge Knicks fan. So, but I've never actually heard you talk about Melo. How do you actually feel about Melo?
I think at every chance Melo had the opportunity to improve his game, he always turned it up. all because of his scoring. I think Melo always prioritized scoring over every other aspect of his game. Not that it was necessarily wrong, because he's one of the greatest scorers to ever hit the hardwood. But it wasn't necessarily what the Knicks needed. I think a lot of the times, if Melo was to like pass up a shot and hit the open man, that could help benefit the team mightily. So, and I think he didn't do that. So I think every single time, at every turn, he had an opportunity to make his team better. He always stopped, and he didn't take the opportunity. So that's how I love Melo though. Like, Melo's one of my favorite players in the league too.
When he was on the Knicks, did you defend him? Or?
Yeah, I did, because he was on my team. You know what I mean? Like, and I understood what they were doing. Like, who you gonna run the offense through? Raymond Felton at one point, who, like, Shumpert, JR, you can't run the offense through any of these guys. Like, you're not running Melo was the only guy to run the offense through. I think a lot of that went to Mike D'Antoni as being our head coach, and Mike Woodson. They made the offense a little bit stagnant. They stopped the ball movement. They gave the ball to Melo, and it's not Melo's fault that they're drawing up plays in the post. It's not his fault, but I do think that Melo had the opportunity to kick out on a lot of shots that he took that was wrong, and he didn't. Just wanting to be the hero, and that's my only disagreement about Melo's career. But I do think he'll find success in Houston, and if he does, it'll be a really interesting Western Conference race between the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Rockets this year.
Yeah. All right. So let me talk about my last small forward, and then we'll end the stream, and we'll pick up tomorrow where we left off.
The power forwards
we'll, after
our review of the Patriots versus Colts game
I'm about to say, after we talk about the Thursday night football game, you'll do your small forwards, I'll do my power forwards. So yeah, there we go. So let me start off by saying this. Just like you just said about Anthony Davis is, once everybody else slows down, he's going to be one of the best players in the league, and he could be the best player in the league. And the only other person in the league right now, I'd say Joel Embiid too, but another person I'd go and put in that conversation is Giannis Antetokounmpo, because he's just like KD without the jump shot. I mean, he's fast. He's about 7 foot tall, and he's strong. I mean, he's a great finisher. I know you seen what he did to, I forgot that nigga, Baines. I forgot his name on the.
I seen what he did to a lot of people. Like, I seen what he did to a lot of people.
A lot of people, right? Yeah. So, I mean, he's a freakish athlete. It's
no doubt,
crazy.
No doubt.
I mean, he's huge.
And if I can get in on this real quick, I think he
go ahead.
Like you said, there's not a lot of people who have a higher ceiling than him. I think he does have a higher ceiling than Embiid, just because I feel like Embiid has reached a point where he's really skilled at everything, and there's not too much improvement for him to go. But Giannis still.
And I mean, not my fault. One more thing I wanted to say. I mean, did you see? I mean, yesterday he was pulling up.
I was just gonna bring that. I was about to say,
shit.
He still hasn't reached his pinnacle as a scorer, let alone a defender. He's just a shot blocker right now. But when he becomes a better perimeter defender and a better, off dribble shooter, like, just imagine.
He's a shooter in general.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just a shooter in general. But just imagine how different the league will be with Giannis making those strides to be that great offensively. I agree. I'm gonna just tell my difference in my list with you, because we both have Bron and KD. I have Kawhi just because of the perimeter defense that Giannis don't have yet. But don't get me wrong, Giannis has a higher ceiling than Kawhi Leonard right now. Giannis can end up being one of the greatest basketball players to ever play this game, just with the hard work and the improvement that I said Melo couldn't make. Hopefully Giannis can make, and just in terms of scoring, not in the same category, but just in terms of scoring, I think Giannis will be very special in this league. If you don't have anything more to say,
I mean, the only thing I want to say is the last time I want to make is on that 3-point he hit yesterday. I mean, LeBron hit a crazier, deeper three that was a little bit harder to make just a couple nights before, and that someone is getting good when a normal 3-point shot is like a oh shit moment for the league. Like, legit, that's an oh shit moment, because if he starts shooting, he could possibly be the best offensive player in the league. And that's for LeBron.
As for LeBron hitting that three, I mean, I think we both know that LeBron has become not only like a good 3-point shooter, but a reliable 3-point shooter, and somebody who's actually become a threat from beyond the arc. That's scary. Like, we've seen LeBron hit some threes, we've seen him miss some important threes too. But now just think about LeBron hitting those clutch threes now. And I have full confidence that he can make any three that he wants. I seen that last year. He was making every single three that he had the chance to make. Obviously he didn't shoot 100%. He shot way less than that. But you know what I mean. Like, compared to his Miami Heat days when he wasn't making a lot of threes then. You know what I'm saying? Like, he made, you know, since he came back to Cleveland, I've seen him implement that three a lot in his game. As for Giannis, you know, like I said, the sky is the limit for him, bro. And he's just such an athletic freak. He's so longer than everybody else. He can block shots after it's already been in the air for 2 seconds. Like, that's the kind of guy
Yeah,
this guy is. So he's such a talented player. As I said, tomorrow I'll go in detail about LeBron and KD's games tomorrow for the finish of my small forward list, and me and Tyler will reach out power forward and center list. Those should be really exciting. We have some really, like, you know, not questionable names, but we have some really surprising names. So if you don't have anything else to say, Tyler, I just like to close out the stream with saying thank you to everybody who watches us every day. Thank you to Kendera, my girlfriend, who supports me so much in everything I do. We appreciate everybody who comes into the stream and watch. We love all you guys. Remember, when you first get introduced to this channel, you won't think it's nothing, but when you hear us speak about sports, we do know what we're talking about. We do take this very seriously. Every morning it's a grind. Every day it's a grind. I just want to say we appreciate for the people who notice that it's a grind. Like, comment, subscribe whenever you do see this channel. If you see it afterwards, you know, always leave a comment. Tell us what we can do better. Tell us what we're doing right. We appreciate it. We love you guys. Tyler, if you don't got anything to say, you got anything to say?
no, I'm good. I just wanted to say thank you. And like you said, just don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And that's about it. Unless you want to say anything else.
No, I'm good. You guys have a good one. Go Colts.